We didn't want to make a film about a general. We wanted to understand the man.
I grew up with the legend. Stonewall Jackson as a symbol, the brilliance, the discipline.
But when we began working on this film, the myth slowly stepped aside, and what remained was a man. I knew the name long before I knew the person. Stonewall was always larger than life, almost untouchable. But the deeper we went, the more the armor fell away. And underneath it, there was a man trying to live with loss, duty, and love.
We went straight to the sources. Letters, diaries, testimonies, not battles, relationships.
Before I read the letters, I thought I knew who he was. But those letters changed everything. He was disciplined with the world. But with her, he was gentle. She wasn't just his wife. She was the only place where he rested.
I haven't seen my wife for nearly a year, my home in nearly 2 years, and I have never seen our darling little daughter.
The letters aren't formal. They're full of longing, of touch, of a man who missed his wife desperately.
On the battlefield, he could be ruthless, but in the letters, he's someone else entirely. And it is this duality that we tried to show.
As much as we wanted to stay with the man, we couldn't avoid the battles. That's where the myth was born. The battles were never the point of the film, but you can't tell his story without touching them, because that's where the myth was born.
There stands Jackson like a stone wall!
I didn't realize I'd be shouting it so many times. 9 takes. By the 9th one, I had no voice left.
There stands Jackson like a stone wall!
Turns out, history is loud. But even inside the battles, we tried to stay with the human connections.
Yeah.
The relationships behind the smoke and the cannons.
Key here is the tension right before the battle.
What interested me about Jim wasn't just loyalty, it was trust. Jim was an enslaved man, and still, he was one of the very few allowed into Stonewall Jackson's sick room. That kind of closeness does not erase the reality of slavery, but it tells us something complicated about the bond between them.
He wasn't an easy man to be close to. He could seem distant, closed off, even strange to the people around him. But underneath that surface, there was intensity, longing, feelings he didn't know how to show, and some very strong connections. They'll be exposed come morning. It's a risk we have to
Between
take.
Lee and Jackson, there was a kind of understanding that didn't need words. Jackson often knew what Lee wanted before Lee ever said it.
They trusted each other completely. That kind of trust is rare. When Jackson lost his left arm, Lee said he had lost his right.
Being quite glad.
Wayne Gone.
He's very serious in the movie. When the cameras stop, he's very kind. He makes me laugh.
Jackson was known as a very disciplined man, but with children, he was different. He genuinely enjoyed their company. He played with them. He made them laugh. After Fredericksburg, he set his headquarters at Moss Neck Plantation. That's where he met Jane Corbin. By then, Jackson already knew he was a father, and he hadn't yet seen his daughter.
When Jackson and his men left Moss Neck in March of 1863, Jane was ill with scarlet fever.
The next day, the general received the worst possible news.
Jane Corbin had died.
Jackson, a man who almost never showed emotion, broke down in front of his men. He sobbed uncontrollably.
Just a month later, on April 20th, 1863, Jackson met his own daughter for the first time.
What moved me most was how careful he was with her. Anna writes that when they arrived, he was soaked from the rain and he was afraid to touch the baby. Not because he wasn't proud, but because he didn't want to hurt her.
Those small moments, the hesitation, the gentleness, that's where Jackson reveals himself. Not on the battlefield, but in the rain.
That scene looks dramatic on screen, but between takes, it was just rain. A lot of rain. And you're standing there thinking, this man hasn't seen his wife in over a year. He hasn't even held his child yet. There we go. So you try to hold all of that while water is pouring down your collar.
If there's one thing I'll always remember from Guinea Station, it's Eric standing there in the rain.
Heroic, miserable, and absolutely refusing to give up. That was the moment the set finally lost it.
In her book, Anna writes about the final portrait. She describes how she prepared Jackson herself, brushing his hair, making sure he looked like himself. That sitting happened just 7 days before Chancellorsville.
That scene was incredibly simple. Just a man sitting still and a woman behind him brushing his hair. That's what makes it powerful. It's a moment that freezes in time, just before history takes over.
What stayed with me was the child. He had her in his life for maybe 10 days, that's all. And yet everything we know says he was completely connected to her.
Now just look at you, Miss Jackson.
That mirror scene, it's not sentimental, it's devastating. Because you realize how little time he was given.
We were drawn to this painting by Everett Julio because there's something deeply tragic in it. It shows the last meeting of Lee and Jackson,
May 1st, 1863.
The next evening, Jackson was mortally wounded. Neither of them knew they would never see each other again.
What struck me the most was how tragic his life really was. He lost his parents young, he lost his sister, he lost his first wife and their child. And then in the end, he dies in the most ironic way imaginable. Not in battle, not heroically, just senselessly.
And yet, there's a strange kind of consolation there. He didn't die immediately. He had 8 days.
8 days to see his wife, to hold his child, to be cared for. Most men never get that. In a way, those days were a gift.
Cut. It's a wrap. Well done. Well done.